What's up guys, it's Apollo here and welcome back to my channel Apollo Extra What Ifs. Today I'm back with the next part of our series that I haven't continued for a quite long time. What if Naruto had kids with Aphrodite and Athena? And yeah guys, before continuing this, make sure you leave a like and subscribe to my channel if you like the content of this channel, and follow me on my main channel as well for main Naruto content. So without any further ado, let's begin with our today's story. Roll the intro. Our story continues. Hello Artemis. The goddess of the hunt and moon was surprised to see her half-sister standing inside her tent. After a trying but successful day of hunting creatures of all kinds, the last thing she expected was to see the goddess of wisdom. In fact, she couldn't even remember the last time Athena has visited her camp. They would usually meet on Olympus around their aunt's hearth. She raised an eyebrow as she placed her equipment on her bed. Hey Athena, what brings you here? Artemis then saw the confusion and slight sadness in her sister's grey eyes and stepped closer to her. Is something the matter? Athena bit her lips as she smiled sadly at the huntress. Do you have time to talk? Artemis, now concerned, and nodded. Of course, to say that Artemis was surprised would be an understatement. Athena, perhaps the most dangerous goddess of Olympus and one of the most intimidating beings in existence, was the last person she would expect to be troubled as such. Out of the three virgin goddesses, never had Artemis thought that Athena would be the first to kiss a male. She had seen the men and her sister had brain children with, and all of them were pretty much intellectual mortals that would always maintain a fair distance from her, indicating their purely platonic and intellectual relationship. For Athena to actually kiss one of them was equivalent of saying that Lady Hera cheated on Zeus. Artemis saw the clear distress and confusion in the most intelligent goddess in existence, and it troubled her. In the thousands of years she had known her sister, never had she seen nor would have expected her to wear such expression on her face. It was as if she was hurt and conflicted simultaneously, and it affected her ability to make quick and intelligent decisions. For one, it seems the goddess Athena had no plan. She had thought that Aphrodite was the only one who missed that Naruto person. Artemis agreed that he was a great father and held no ill will for him. But no matter what, Artemis would have never let any man take advantage of her sister. If this man had perverted thoughts towards Athena, she would shoot him down without a sweat. I don't know what to do, Athena whispered as she stared down at her hands. I never intended to kiss him, but I did, and I accepted it. She looked at Artemis, who still looked stoic, and I really enjoyed it. Did he take advantage of you? Asked the huntress with a dangerous edge in her voice. No! Athena quickly shook her head and looked up at her sister. Naruto would never do something like that. He actually asked if he could kiss me, and I gave him the permission. She looked away when she saw Artemis' shock. It was like nothing I have ever experienced before, Artemis. Artemis sighed as she reached for Athena's hand. It's okay, Athena. She held on to her sister's hand and scooted closer to her. But tell me honestly, what do you feel for that mortal? I don't know. Athena bit her lips again as she looked at her sister. I thought he was just the same as the others, just a smart man with a great mind with whom I had a child with. But when I see him playing with Annabeth and heard how he prayed to me, my feelings changed. He was sincere and genuine to me. She played with the hem of her dress and refused to meet the eyes of her fellow virgin goddess. And when he hugged me, I felt like my heart was going to burst out of my chest. I knew I should have pulled away, but I didn't want to. I wanted him to hold me. It felt warm and nice, you know. Reluctantly, Athena looked up at her sister and asked, don't be offended but is this how you felt with Orion? Artemis stared at her sister with great shock and slowly shook her head. No, not at all. She cleared her throat and quickly spoke when she saw Athena's embarrassed expression. I admired Orion's powers as a hunter and favored his behavior towards women, but it ended there. I never hugged him or kissed him, and I wouldn't have even if he didn't die. Thinking over her words, the hunters continued. Right now, you sound like you love this man. Athena sighed and looked to the side. I might actually love him. Just who in Hades is this man? Artemis rubbed her temples and shook her head. It's weird enough that he was Aphrodite's, man, and Aphrodite is missing him, and now he has you falling for him as well? He's special, Artemis. Athena had a large blush as she spoke. He just has the warm and loving aura, and I feel very safe and relaxed around him. She had a small smile as she looked back at her sister. Even back then, before our daughter was born, he could always make me laugh, and I always was happy around him. Shoving the disturbing image of a laughing Athena aside, Artemis smiled. I've never seen you like this. So what do you think I should do? Artemis sighed and held onto her sister's hand. As much as I know, you would hate this. You should go and speak with Aphrodite. Before Athena could object, she continued. She is the goddess of love and she's in love with the same person. So no one will understand you more than she does. Then Huntress smiled when Athena gave her retort. Just go and sit down with her and talk it out. I'll even go with you if it would help. Athena squeezed her sisters, and pleadingly, yes, please go with me. I can't deal with her on my own. Alright then, let us go home then. Link break. It was a perfect morning. It was a cold night and it made the warm sanctuary of the bed all the better. The sheets were warm and the crisp against his skin, and his blanket was just the perfect canopy to lie over his bare torso. Apollo's sun chariot was starting to drive over the horizon, and the faintest rays of sunlight shone into the room, painting the white wall orange. He had a smile on his face as he slowly regained awoke, and he blissfully turned to his side and pulled his spare pillow towards him. He must have slept on his right arm because the pillow felt a little heavy, but nonetheless he hugged it close to his chest. It was so soft and warm, but for some reason also smelled very nice, like jasmine or honeysuckle. He started to rub his cheeks against the top of the pillow and furrowed his brows when he felt something odd. It seemed that this pillow had hair, long, luscious silky hair. His rationality came to him and he opened his eyes. A pair of violet eyes stared back at him as a metallic voice spoke. Good morning, my handsome fish cake. His eyes widened and was about to cry out in shock, but was silenced when the woman slammed her lips against his. A pair of arms snaked behind his neck and pulled him into deeper kiss. A soft and warm tongue licked his power lips and he instinctively opened his mouth. A nice morning wrestling match between two tongues was initiated and he found himself losing the match. She ravished his mouth with extreme vigor and pushed him until he was flat on his back. It was until she was laying on top of him with her bare breast pressed against his chest that she broke the kiss. She gave him a bright smile and wink. Don't yell. You don't want to wake the girls, do you? His lips were still tingly from the kiss as he stared up at a familiar and loving eyes. Aphrodite? The goddess kissed him softly again and smiled against his lips. Do you miss me? It took him a few seconds, but he managed to wrap his shaky hands around her slim waist. His mind was still racing and wondered if he was dreaming a beautiful scene, but he figured that it was real. He could really feel his lover lying on top of him, feeling her wonderful breast pressed against him, and feel her soft lips nibbling at his. She was really here. Aphrodite was really here. Aphrodite gently caressed his cheek and combed her fingers through his blonde hair. I really missed you, Naruto. She rested her cheek on his shoulder and snuggled against him, revealing his warmth. You have no idea how many times I wanted to come to see you like this. At his silence, she looked up and stared into his wide eyes. To come see my sweet Naruto. He shakily reached up to cup her face and tenderly ran his thumb over her cheek, making her smile and lean into his warmth of his hand. She was still as stunning as the last time she had met him, and his heart was beating out of his chest as the same when they first met. He couldn't help but smile up at her. His other hands brushed several strands of her long red hair behind her ear and lightly rubbed her earlobe, just like he would often do back when they were together. It felt so similar and familiar, yet it had been many years since then. I missed you so much. He finally whispered, making her bite her lips. I can't believe you actually came to see me. He gently pulled her down and wrapped his arms around her frame, holding her as close as he could, as tenderly as he could. I never thought I'd see you again. She felt small against his frame, but also fitted perfectly. It was a little hard to believe that he was cuddling with an almighty goddess. He had no idea why she suddenly visited. Maybe she wanted to give him a gift, something like Athena did, but he didn't care. All he knew was that he wanted to keep her with him for as long as possible. He didn't dare to let her go. He didn't want to see her vanish like she did all those years ago. Aphrodite just kissed his jawline and pressed her cheeks against his. Hey, don't worry. She smiled sadly as she pulled with a little hug away from him. I'm not going anywhere anytime soon. He started to stare into her eyes with a little hope. Really? I've been holding back since their is an ancient law preventing me from coming to see you, but seeing how Athena broke the law anyway, I no longer care. Aphrodite tightened her arms around his neck and kissed him again on the lips. I'm coming to see my Naruto and I'm going to stay as long as I can. Naruto pulled her close and kissed her again, relishing in her soft and tender lips. This better not be a dream. She could not help but feel sad at his tone and kissed him back. This is real, Naruto. I'm really here. The goddess continued to kiss her lover, tenderly, gently sucking on his lower lip as she pulled away. I'm sorry for leaving you alone. I didn't want to, but even the gods have to abide the ancient laws most of the time. It's stupid really, but it's been that way for millennia. She held him close and kissed him with such love as she could muster up. I really love you, Naruto. I really do. He smiled against her lips and nodded. I know. He stared into her eyes and spoke. I love you too. Some tears welled in her eyes and a few managed to escape. I've watched you over endlessly continuously, Naruto. You are the best father I've seen in the past 1,000 years. I can feel the love you have for our little girl and the love she has for you. And it is rare, especially among children of the gods. She snuggled closer to him, rested her head on the crook of his head. But from now on, I promise that you won't be doing it alone. I will be here with you and be the mother both the girls need. Naruto was surprised. Both girls? Aphrodite smiled. Athena loves Annabeth like I do Lacey, so I guess when she's not here, I could act as her mom as well. She pulled back to look into Naruto's widened eyes. The girls need a mother figure in their lives, and while I haven't gotten much experience with being a nice and loving mom, I intend to do my best. I even asked for Hera's help if I have to. The blonde was stunned and couldn't think of what to say, so he did the only thing he could at the moment. He kissed her with such passion and love he could muster up. Thank you. He managed to muster and mutter against her lips as the emotions were overwhelmed by him. I love you. He pushed her back onto her back and climbed on top of her, ravishing her mouth just as she liked all those years ago. She kissed back vigorously. I love you too. Suddenly there was a knock on the door. Series of knocks. Dad, are you awake? Naruto's eyes widened at Annabeth's voice and quickly broke the kiss. Yeah, I'm fine, honey. He got off the goddess and quickly threw on a bathrobe over his body, just in case. What is it? Usually come wake me up before my alarm clock goes off. Aphrodite giggled quietly at the sight of Naruto trying to outsmart his daughter with Athena. I'm sorry, sweetie, but I slept in a little and forgot to. He sent the goddess a pleading look as he continued to think of excuses. I'll go make breakfast in a bit. Just go and wake your sister and help her get ready, okay? Annabeth sighed and started to walk away. Fine. You're such an adorable father. Aphrodite climbed out of her bed, revealing her completely naked body to her lover. Naruto's blood rushed to both his heads and it made Aphrodite giggle. You definitely deserve a reward. She kissed his neck and delicately licked her way to his jawline. But I think your daughters are waiting for you to cook for them. Naruto felt hot under the collar and reached down to grab one of her perfectly ass cheeks. You really are making hard things for me here. She giggled and rubbed against him, in more than one way. The goddess smiled as she leaned up to peck him on the lips. But if you don't want that genius of a daughter of yours to find out about me so soon, you better get out there and start cooking like a fine family man. She giggled again at the frown and winked at him. Don't worry, I'll make sure to give you your reward tonight. Fine, but where are going to do now? Don't worry, I can become invisible to everyone but you. She patted him on the ass and pushed up towards the door. Now, to take care of the girls. Link break. Olympus, Aphrodite's temple. Find her anywhere? Athena shook her head at her sister with a frown. They had searched all over Olympus for the goddess of love and still couldn't find her. They had asked Eros and some of her handmaids, but none had seen her since the night before. Artemis sighed and shook her head. Sometimes that airhead is harder to find than some of the sneakiest creatures I hunt. Maybe she's over at Ares' temple. The goddess of hunt sighed and shrugged. It's possible, though I hate that place. If I hear one more story about one of his manly wars, I will put an arrow in his kneecap. Athena smiled and pulled her sister along. Come on, sister. Link break. Daddy, I want 10 strips of bacon, please, exclaimed Lacey with a grin. And 5 eggs and 10 sausages. Naruto smiled at his little princess and shook his head. You'll have the usual, sweetie. Annabeth was munching on a bowl of cereal and she was waiting for a hot breakfast. She was looking down at her lap where she was hiding a book she was reading about the building's procedure and the Parthenon in Greece, and was almost up to the part where it was about to describe the statue of Athena, her favorite Greek goddess, though she would often look up to check if her dad was looking back at her. He didn't like it when she would read at the dinner table. Yeah, I'll just have the usual, Dad. Unknown to the girls, Aphrodite was sitting right next to them, with a smile, happy face on her face plastered. She was wearing a simple bathrobe after Naruto had asked her to. He didn't want to see her naked while his daughters were in the same room, and was happily humming a tune as she watched the girls interact. Annie is so much like Athena, it's hilarious. Naruto smiled when he heard his lover's voice. He was also the only one who could hear her. I always see her dotting all of us around Olympus, just like how Annie would dot Lacey around. She's a nice big sister. Naruto placed 2 plates down on the table and smiled at his lover. Eat up, girls. We don't have a lot of time this morning. Aphrodite rested her chin in one of her hands and looked at Naruto, who was trying to act normal. Her robe was not tidy and tied very well, and the amount of cleavage shown was distracting him. He was even glad that Annabeth was trying to sneak in some reading time while breakfast. She is far too focused in her book that she didn't notice his slight blush and fidgeting reflexes. You know, started Aphrodite with an amused smile. You never really cooked for me before. The blonde sent her a pleading look while trying to convey a message with his eyes, and it made her laugh. Back when they were together, they mostly went on dates to fancy restaurants, went dancing at clubs, or were trying different kinds of candies when Naruto would order them from France. They actually never really spent a normal day at home and cooked their own meals. You better cook for me tonight. Daddy! Naruto jumped a little at his baby girl's voice. We're going to the costume store tomorrow, right? Naruto smiled and nodded. Yup. Can Percy come with us as well? Asked Annabeth as she looked up from her book. He's going to be trick-or-treating with us anyway. Lacey giggled and winked at her sister. Yeah, Annie wants her boyfriend to come with us. Aphrodite squealed and clasped her hands together. Old Lacey might be onto something here. You and Percy aren't dating each other, right? Naruto paled a little at the thought of his princess having a boyfriend. He actually liked Percy, so he couldn't use his shotgun on him, and that made it even worse. Remember, no dates until you're 18. Dad! Cried out daughter of Athena with a deep blush. Percy is not my boyfriend. Aphrodite squealed again and clapped. Aw, she's so adorable. Annabeth avoided everyone's glances and quickly put her book away in her backpack. It's time for school. Let's go. She jumped out of her seat and swung her backpack onto her back, but did not walk away before she sent Lacey a glare. Come on, Dad. Lacey giggled again and followed her sister. Why are you meeting up with Percy at school? Shut up! Hey, you can't be that rude to Percy, you know. Lacey poked her sister's rib and laughed at her red face. I mean, you call him Seaweed Brain all the time. Sooner or later, he won't like you anymore. Annabeth glared at the shorter girl, her eyes gleaming. Don't be mad at me. It's not my fault you're bad at this stuff. You're 5 years old. You shouldn't even know about these things. Lacey crossed her arms and shook her head. And you're 9 years old. You shouldn't know about these things as well. And how come you're so smart at everything but so dumb when you talk about Percy? Annabeth, with a deft and skilled swipe, ran her fingers through Lacey's and messed up her curls. And it's not my fault that you're so dumb at doing your own hair. Hey! Lacey was outraged. Fix my hair! The older blonde girl smirked and leaned closer to her sister. No, do it yourself. Aphrodite nearly fell off her chair from laughing so hard. Annabeth and Lacey acted almost exactly like her and Athena. The only difference would be instead of Athena messing up her hair, she would threaten her with a giant spear. It was adorable to see such symmetry between their children as them. As much as Athena may annoy or anger her, Aphrodite did enjoy their occasional squabble. Except the ones where Athena would suggest her pair Naruto with some random mortal woman. Oh girls, stop fighting, okay? Naruto stood and gave them both a stern stare. Come on, we don't want to be late for school. Link break. Olympus, Ares' temple. Nah, I have no idea where she is. The god of war gave the goddess of warfare an annoyed look as he continued to sharpen his golden blade. I've been looking for her for days already, but for some reason she is avoiding me for something. I don't know. He sighed and shook his head. She's hiding Aurora. I can't locate her no matter how hard I try. Artemis smirked. Maybe she finally woke up and decided to not be with you. The goddess of moon never understood why Aphrodite would want to be with her half-brother. He was such a bloodthirsty moron and was an idiotic constantly, even more so than her twin. Ares growled as his fire in the eyes flared, literally. Watch it, Huntress. When was the last time you saw her? Asked Athena, giving her brother a stern stare with her stormy grey eyes. Ares shivered a little at the look. About a week ago. But she was acting weird back then as well. He resisted the urge to rub his recently healed cheek. The goddess of love could be very strong when she wanted to be. After that, she started to avoid me, and I haven't seen her since. A week ago. Thought Athena as she crossed her arms. Then about that That about when we watched Naruto and the girls through Aunt Hestia's hurt. Artemis sighed. Maybe we should just wait for a while. I'm sure she'll show up sooner or later. Athena turned away and pulled her sister along. I think it's time to find our other brethren. She gave the hunters an annoying look, which made her groan. He's the all-seeing. Come on, he's so annoying. Link break. It had been a long time since Aphrodite had ridden a car, but it was quite nice. The mortals seemed to have made significant improvements to their transportation. The last time she rode a car, it moved such slower. Though the overall experience of the ride was probably so good because it was Naruto who was driving the car and the little two girls were in the backseat glaring at each other. I said, I'm sorry, Annie. Lacey glared at her sister as she held a small mirror to her cheek and she was checking her hair. Can you please fix my hair now? The older sister's grey eyes looked down at Lacey and made the little girl shiver. No. This will teach you a lesson to never mess with me again. But I wasn't lying. Lacey pouted and brushed her hair. I know you have a crush on Percy, and you're just too scared to admit it. Annabeth glared at her sister and gritted her teeth. I don't have a crush on him. Naruto groaned and shook his head at the noise. Normally he would have stopped the bickering as soon as it started, but the current subject was highly uncomfortable for him. The mere fact that one of his little girls may have a crush on a boy was a little devastating, and he was already having a hard time coping with it. Aphrodite, on the other hand, was quite happy. I think Lacey is right about Annabeth. She chirped with a bright smile. She's a little young, but some puppy love can't hurt. The father of the two looked over at his lover with pleading eyes, praying silently to her that Annabeth would remain a little girl forever and wouldn't fall for some boy. But the goddess only smiled back at him and giggling at his troubled expression. She was having the time of her life. Spending time like a family was really a lot of fun. Not her usual type of fun, but harmonious fun. She even conjured a nice normal outfit for herself, a simple pair of grey skinny jeans and a red silk shirt and a black blazer to match the simple mood of their day. Okay, we're here, exclaimed Naruto as they drove off at the school parking lot, obviously relieved that he wouldn't have to listen to this conversation any longer. Enjoy your classes, and I'll be here at the usual time. Annabeth routinely kissed her dad on the cheek and jumped out of the car, but not before glaring at her sister once more. Lacey, on the other hand, had a pout on her face as she left the car, still trying to fix her hair to no avail. Aphrodite felt sympathetic for her little girl and snapped her fingers, instantly fixing her hair. Ha! Look, Annie, cried Lacey as she ran to catch up her sister. I fixed all my hair by myself. Aphrodite laughed and reached for Naruto's hand. The girls are so cute. Naruto smiled and squeezed her hand affectionately. You should have seen them when they're cranky. They'll drive you crazy. I will, she said immediately with a smile. I'm going to stay with you, remember? The blonde couldn't have been happier at that moment, and silently nodded. And you will soon find out that they will have been crankier when they start having their periods. Don't even speak of that, please! Naruto said as Aphrodite giggled. Link break. Olympus Apollo's temple. Little sis! Cried an ecstatic Apollo as he ran towards Artemis, but quickly stopped when a pale arrow nearly pierced his head. Artemis gritted her teeth and smacked her brother atop of the head. For the last time! I am not your little sister. The goddess of hunt pulled on Apollo's ear and dragged him closer. I helped mother birth you, so I'm the older twin. Athena sighed and just waited silently for them to stop. She had forgotten the last time she visited this god of sun's temple, and her eyes were a little sore just looking at it. It was a large Parthenon made completely out of solid imperial gold and was shining like afternoon sun. It was completely majestic, but it was too far bright for her taste. Fine, just let go of my ear. God damn it. The goddess of the moon lently and pushed the hyperactive son of God away, crossing her arms and stared at him sternly. She looked at Athena and nodded at her, silently saying that she could begin her questioning. Apollo, please tell us where Aphrodite is. Apollo raised an eyebrow and nursed his bruised ear. Wow, so you came looking for her, huh? He muttered before he chuckled. Sometimes that woman is even more clear-sighted than I am. Athena crossed her arms. What do you mean? Daddy came to me a few days ago and told me not to tell anyone where she is, especially if it's you, Athena. The two goddesses were surprised and looked at each other confused. She made me swear and on the river Styx not to tell, so sorry I can't help you. Artemis coughed, placing her hands on her hips. What the hell did she do to make you swear on the river Styx? Apollo grinned and looked at his sisters. She's going to make sure that all of my children will lead a very nice sex lives. He laughed and mentally patted his back. They're all good-looking children, but now they will have a happy life as well. Plenty of loving for everyone. He made a peace sign and winked again, just like their daddy. Disgusting, muttered Artemis as she shook her head. Hey, they're your nephews and nieces. The moon goddess glared at them. Your children annoy the hell out of me. Don't think for a second that I've forgotten that one of your stupid sons jumped into my chariot in the middle of the night with that weird friend of his. Apollo looked scandalized. Oh, come on. Neil Armstrong was one of my best sons, and he still is an international hero. And Buzz Aldrin is a cool dude. Artemis scoffed. He was a demigod that should have seen through the mist, but he still joked around with the stupid human space program and landed that damn space module in my chariot. If he wasn't my nephew, I would have shot him out of the sky and sent him to Tartarus. It's not my children's fault that your chariot is so mellow. Don't see him trying to walk on my chariot. The sun god glared at his little sister and glowed. And it's not some stupid human space program, it's called the Apollo program. Mother is right, you need to find a wife to knock your ego down a peg. Don't bring mother into this. This is going to take a while. Thought Athena as she rubbed her temples. Link break. So where are we going now? Aphrodite smiled at Naruto and kissed him on the cheek. Nowhere special, I just want to spend a normal day with you. Just do whatever you usually do and bring me along. She wrapped her arms around his as they got out of the car. I just want to spend some quality time with you. I would love that. Naruto walked into Grand Central Station and ignored everyone who was gawking at Aphrodite's beauty, but he did glare at some of the men who were leering at her. It had been quite a while since he had spent time with her, and he had forgotten almost how much attention she would attract. He placed his hand on her wrist and waist and pulled her closer, showing that she belonged to him now. Aphrodite giggled and leaned into Naruto. Don't worry, you're the only man I love. He smiled and kissed her softly on the lips. I love you too. It was the best day for her and for everyone else. As this is where I'm going to be leaving the part of today, guys. I hope you like this one, and if you do, then make sure you leave a like and subscribe to my channel if you like the content of this channel. As this is Apollo, and I'm signing off for the day. Peace!